Hello. In this video, I'm going to talk about LeadCenter workflow system. We just added two new exciting features where you can now trigger a workflow from an appointment, as well as trigger it from form submission, as well as we allow filtering the workflows or added filters for appointments and for form submission as part of the logic node, which is something that a lot of advisors asked us for. So if you are new to LeadCenter workflow system, especially if you are coming from retail or WealthBox platforms, there are three distinct differentiators between LeadCenter and those platforms. First, the workflow can be triggered automatically. In both retail and WealthBox, workflows can be triggered only manually by attaching it to a contact. In LeadCenter, a workflow can be triggered when a contact is created, when a contact is updated, and now when a form is submitted or when a first appointment is created. The second differentiator, it's a real workflow that runs in the background and monitor the contacts, monitor the appointments, and then you can apply a logic to filter the workflow based on the changes that's happening with the contact or with the appointment. The third major differentiator is the ask message based on the templates that you created. Now here I'm in LeadCenter. I clicked on workflows, and I'll show you, let me here click on new workflow, we'll call it demo. So LeadCenter workflow engine has a simple three type of nodes, which is a trigger. So you can trigger a workflow either manually or when a contact is created, contact is updated, when an appointment is created, or when a form is submitted. For example, let me select here when a contact is created. The second type of node is a logic node. A logic node can be like a contact filter, where you want to filter the workflow not to execute if a client in a certain stage. As well as there is appointment filter, form submission filter. There is a branching logic, which is an if then else, as well as there is a wait logic, where you can instruct the workflow to wait for a day, an hour, before the appointment or after the appointment. I'll show you that. And then there is an exit step that's telling the workflow that this is it, the workflow is finished and now it's time to exit. Then there is an action type of nodes, and there are 8 type of actions, which is like assign an owner, call a contact, and actually this is what it will do. It will call the contact. So it will call the owner of the contact and connect him with that prospect or that client. You can create a task, you can create a step, and a step is a group of tasks together. You can instruct the workflow to send an email, or send a text, update a contact, or request catch light data. So those are the 8 type of actions we support in workflows. Now I created here a workflow, first appointment workflow, and I'll show you the various steps that we created. The first step of the workflow is the trigger. So I told the workflow to be triggered whenever an appointment is created. So every time an appointment is created in the system, whether you create it yourself or it gets created from the public calendar, bookmytime.ai, this workflow will execute. And then I added a filter here, instructing the workflow to filter out any appointment that's not with the category type first visit, not a client. So for any type of appointment that's not first visit, not a client, the workflow will stop. But if the appointment is first visit, not a client, the workflow will continue the execution. The first step I added is an action node, which is I instructed the workflow, if a first appointment is created, change the stage of that contact in the sales pipeline to first appointment. And then I added a wait node, instructing the workflow to wait in the execution for 1 day before the appointment. So because it's an appointment workflow, the workflow will know that it has to wait for 1 day, and then exactly 24 hours before the appointment date and time, the execution will continue. And then it will send the onboarding email. And this is just an action node to send an email. And then there is an email here that I prepared, and that will be sent automatically from this email account to the contact. And now the next step in the process or in the workflow, I created a wait node to wait for 3 hours after the appointment is completed. And then what will happen 3 hours after the appointment is completed, there are 3 actions that will happen automatically. The stage For that contact in the pipeline will move to evaluation, and it will send a text message to that contact, which is a message that I prepared earlier, personal touch with demo scheduling, as well as it will create a task called prepare retirement plan task, and it will assign it to an owner to prepare it, and then the workflow will exit and complete the execution. One important note about appointment workflows: if the appointment is canceled, the workflow will automatically halt, will automatically stop execution. Okay, so none of those steps will execute. Thank you for watching this video. Please feel free to send an email to support@LeadCenter.AI if you have any questions. Thanks.